You walk into a room, and within 30 seconds, you've clocked the tension between two people in the corner. You've noticed the one person who's smiling, but not with their eyes. You've registered the slight shift in someone's tone when they greeted you. Nobody else caught any of that. You caught all of it. And then later, when you mention it, someone tells you you're overthinking, that you're too sensitive, that you need to be more confident and stop reading into things. So you start to believe them. You decide the problem is you, that this radar you have, this constant, exhausting, precise awareness of everything happening in every room, must be anxiety, must be insecurity, must be some wound you haven't healed yet. But what if it isn't? What if the problem was never that you noticed too much, but that nobody ever told you what that noticing actually is? Welcome to Thought Paradox. Today we're reframing something. You're not insecure, you're hyper-aware. And there's a difference, a significant one. And understanding it might change how you see yourself entirely. Let's start with the misdiagnosis. Because somewhere along the way, a very specific experience got labeled wrong. You were told, directly or indirectly, that your sensitivity to your environment, to other people, to the subtle dynamics in any given room, was a symptom of low self-worth. You only notice that because you're insecure. You read into things because you're looking for reasons to feel bad. If you were more confident, you wouldn't pick up on all of that. And the cruel irony is, you believed it. Because hyper-aware people are also extraordinarily good at turning their perception inward, at applying that same precision to themselves. So the sensitivity that made you a brilliant reader of the world became the evidence you used to convict yourself. But here's what that narrative gets completely wrong. Insecurity is about the self. It's the belief, conscious or not, that you are somehow not enough, not worthy, not safe in who you are. Hyper-awareness is about the world. It's a perceptual capacity, a finely tuned nervous system that picks up more data than average, processes it faster, and draws more connections from it. These two things can coexist, but they are not the same thing. And treating one as the cause of the other, treating your perception as a symptom of your wounds, means you spend your life trying to fix something that was never broken. So what is it exactly? Hyper-awareness, sometimes called heightened sensory sensitivity or high perceptual acuity, is the capacity to process environmental and social information at a greater depth and speed than most people. It's not mystical, it's neurological. Research by psychologist Elaine Aron on what she termed the highly sensitive person found that roughly 15 to 20% of the population shows deeper processing of sensory and emotional input. Their brains aren't wired to filter as aggressively as others. Where most people receive a signal and process the surface of it, hyper-aware people process the signal, the context, the history, the implications, and 3 possible meanings simultaneously. It's not a disorder, it's a processing style. And it shows up in very specific ways. You notice micro-expressions, the flicker of something across a face before someone composes themselves. You sense atmosphere before anyone names it. You walk into a room mid-conversation and know the shape of what was said before you arrived. You hear what people don't say as loudly as what they do. The pause before the answer. The word they chose instead of the word that would have been more natural. You remember details about people that they themselves have forgotten telling you. Because when someone speaks to you, you're not just hearing the content. You're registering everything. That's not insecurity. That's a form of intelligence. A social and emotional intelligence that most personality frameworks don't even have language for yet. So why does it get mislabeled? Because the behaviors that come from hyper-awareness look, from the outside, almost identical to the behaviors that come from insecurity. The person who double-checks the tone of a message before sending it. The person who replays a conversation afterward, wondering if they said something wrong. The person who notices when the energy in a relationship shifts and can't stop thinking about it until they understand why. To someone watching from outside, that looks like anxiety, like low confidence, like someone who needs constant reassurance. But look closer at what's actually driving it. The insecure person replays the conversation because they're afraid they're not enough. The hyper-aware person replays it because they detected something, a signal, a shift, a discrepancy, and their brain won't file it away until it's been understood. One is about self-worth, the other is about information. The problem is that hyper-aware people often spend so long being told their perception is a flaw that they start to perform insecurity even when they don't feel it. They apologize for noticing. They second-guess their reads. They outsource their judgment to people who are less perceptive than they are, and then feel confused when those people miss what was, to the hyper-aware person, completely obvious. Am I making this up? Everyone else seems fine. Maybe I'm the problem. You're not making it up. You're just the only one in the room who has the resolution to see it. Here's what happens when hyper-awareness goes unnamed for too long. It turns inward. All that perception, all that capacity to read environments, detect shifts, process subtlety, gets redirected at the self. Because if the world keeps telling you that your noticing is a problem, you start investigating yourself as the problem. You become your own subject of analysis. Why did I react that way? What does it mean that I felt that? Is this a pattern? Is this a wound? Is this something I need to fix? And the same intelligence that could have been your greatest gift becomes the engine of your most exhausting self-criticism. There's also a specific kind of loneliness that comes with it. The loneliness of seeing things clearly that nobody around you is naming. You watch a dynamic unfold in a group. You see exactly what's happening. The power play, the unspoken resentment, the thing nobody is saying. And you stay quiet, because the last time you named it, you were called sensitive, paranoid, too much. So you sit with the knowledge alone, and over time, that aloneness becomes its own kind of grief. Not the grief of being unloved, the grief of being unseen in the very capacity that makes you most yourself. Here's what changes when you stop calling it insecurity and start calling it what it is. First, you stop trying to fix it. You stop meditating it away. You stop apologizing for it. You stop contorting yourself to appear less sensitive, less perceptive, less much in rooms where your awareness makes other people uncomfortable. Because you realize the goal was never to notice less. The goal is to carry what you notice with more ease. Second, you start trusting yourself again. Hyper-aware people are often profoundly bad at trusting their own perception, not because it's inaccurate. It's usually the opposite of inaccurate, but because they've been gaslit by the accumulated weight of everyone who told them they were reading into things. Trusting yourself again means taking your reads seriously. When you sense something is off, it's probably off. When you feel a shift in someone's energy, there's probably been a shift. When something feels wrong before you can articulate why, give yourself the time to articulate it, rather than overriding it with logic. Your perception is data. Start treating it like data. Third, you find the people who can hold it, because they exist. People who don't find your depth exhausting. They find it illuminating. People who want the real conversation, not the surface one. People who feel more seen by you than they've ever felt, because you actually pay attention. Those people exist, and when hyper-aware people find them, something releases. Some long-held tension that came from spending years in rooms where they were always the one seeing too much. You don't lack confidence. You notice too much. And for a long time, in a world that rewards people who move fast and process shallow, that felt like a deficiency. It isn't. The people who changed how we understand other people, the therapists, the writers, the artists, the leaders who could walk into a room and know exactly what it needed. They weren't confident in the way confidence is usually sold. They were precise. They were paying attention when everyone else had already moved on. They were sitting with complexity while the room tried to simplify. That's you. That's always been you. The work isn't to become someone who notices less. It's to become someone who no longer apologizes for noticing. Someone who trusts the signal. Someone who knows the difference between a wound and a gift, and stops treating one like the other. I'm Thought Paradox. If this reframed something for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next one.